Hey everyone, welcome back to Oops, My English, the podcast that makes learning English easy and enjoyable. Interesting topics, real conversations, real progress. We are so glad you're here. I'm Mia.
And I'm Leo. Thanks for being here. We've got a good one for you today.
Leo, I have a confession to make.
Oh no. What did you do?
So last night, I told myself I'd watch one episode of this murder documentary and go to bed early. One episode. That was the plan.
Let me guess. You didn't watch one episode.
I watched seven episodes. I went to bed at 3 a.m. I have a problem.
What documentary was it?
It was about this woman who disappeared in the 90s and they never found out what happened to her. A cold case. You know what a cold case is, right?
Yeah, it's when a crime is unsolved and the police basically stop investigating because they have no new leads, no new clues, nothing. The case goes cold.
Exactly. And these cold cases are the worst because you never get answers. You're just left wondering forever. Who did it? What happened? Why? It drives me crazy.
But that's also why you can't stop watching, right? You keep hoping they'll finally crack the case.
Yes, to crack a case means to solve it, like finally breaking through after years of nothing. And sometimes they do, Leo. Sometimes 30 years later, someone finds new evidence and boom, case cracked.
That must feel amazing. But also, can we talk about how weird it is that we find this stuff entertaining? Like we're literally watching stories about people getting murdered for fun while eating snacks.
I know, it sounds terrible when you say it like that, but millions of people do it. True crime is massive right now. Podcasts, documentaries, Netflix series, YouTube channels, everyone's obsessed.
So what is true crime exactly? For anyone who doesn't know.
True crime is basically any content, books, podcasts, documentaries, whatever, that covers real crimes, not made-up detective stories. Real murders, real kidnappings, real investigations, everything actually happened.
Which is what makes it so creepy. These aren't actors. These are real victims. Real families who lost someone.
That's such an important point. Sometimes I think people forget that. The victim isn't just a character in a story. They were a real person with a real life.
And on the other side, you have the perpetrator. That's the person who committed the crime. The bad guy, basically.
Although before they're proven guilty, we call them the suspect or the accused. You can't call someone a murderer until the court says they're guilty.
Right. Innocent until proven guilty. So okay, we've got victims, perpetrators, suspects. Who else is involved in these cases?
Well, you've got the detectives trying to solve everything, and forensic experts. Those are the scientists who analyze evidence like DNA, fingerprints, blood samples. Forensic means using science to investigate crimes.
I love the forensic stuff. When they find one tiny hair and suddenly they can identify the killer? That's incredible.
It really is. Oh, and there's another type of person in true crime, the armchair detective.
What's that?
It's people like me, regular people who sit at home watching documentaries and think they can solve crimes. You're not a real detective. You're just sitting in your armchair coming up with theories.
The internet is full of armchair detectives. There are whole Reddit communities where people analyze cold cases and debate who the killer might be.
Some people think it's helpful. Others think it's dangerous because sometimes these amateur sleuths accuse innocent people.
Sleuth? That's such a fun word. It just means detective, right?
Yeah, but it sounds way more mysterious. Very Sherlock Holmes.
Okay, let's talk about some more vocabulary. Because true crime has so many specific words. What about alibi?
Oh, that's a crucial one. An alibi is proof that you were somewhere else when the crime happened. So if someone was murdered at 9 p.m. and you can prove you were at a restaurant at 9 p.m., that's your alibi. You couldn't have done it because you weren't there.
And if you don't have an alibi,
Then you look suspicious, very suspicious.
what about motive?
Motive is the reason why someone might commit a crime. Like, why would they do it? Was it for money? Jealousy? Revenge? Detectives always look for motive because if someone had no reason to hurt the victim, they're probably not the killer.
That makes sense. Oh, and I learned a cool term recently. Modus operandi, or MO for short.
Yes, that's Latin for method of operating. It's basically how a criminal does their crimes. Like serial killers often have a specific MO. They target similar victims or leave the same clues every time.
Speaking of serial killers, should we explain that term?
Probably. A serial killer is someone who kills multiple people, usually 3 or more, with breaks in between. Those breaks are called cooling off periods. That's what makes them different from a mass murderer, who kills lots of people all at once.
That's dark, but I guess that's true crime for you.
It is dark. Which brings us to the big question, why do we love this stuff so much? Why are millions of people obsessed with murder stories?
I've thought about this a lot, actually. I think part of it is morbid curiosity.
Morbid means related to death or unpleasant things. So morbid curiosity is being fascinated by dark, creepy, disturbing stuff.
And apparently it's totally normal. Scientists think it might be a survival thing. Like our ancestors needed to understand what was dangerous so they could avoid it. So we're wired to pay attention to threats.
That makes sense. Our brain is like, ooh, someone got killed. I should learn about this so it doesn't happen to me.
Exactly. It's self-preservation disguised as entertainment.
I also think people love the puzzle aspect. True crime is like a mystery you're trying to solve. Who did it? How? Will they get caught? Our brains love figuring things out.
That's why podcasts reveal information slowly. They let you form your own theories. You feel like you're part of the investigation.
Yes, and then when the case gets solved, it's so satisfying. You see justice served, the perpetrator goes to prison, the victim's family finally gets closure.
Closure is such a good word. It means that feeling of something being resolved. Like you can finally move on because you have answers.
But here's the thing. Some of the most popular true crime cases are unsolved. No closure at all. And people are even more obsessed with those.
Like Jack the Ripper, or the Zodiac Killer. Those cases are over 100 years old, and people still talk about them.
Because we hate not knowing. The mystery stays open, and it haunts us. We keep coming back, hoping someone will finally crack it.
Okay, let's talk about what happens when someone actually gets caught. The legal vocabulary.
Right. So first, police arrest the suspect. That means they take them into custody officially.
Then the suspect gets charged with a crime. Charged means formally accused.
And then there's a trial. That's where everything gets presented in court. The prosecution tries to prove the person is guilty. The defense tries to prove they're innocent. And then the judge or jury decides.
The final decision is called the verdict. Guilty or not guilty.
And to be found guilty, it has to be beyond a reasonable doubt. That means the evidence is so strong that there's no logical way the person is innocent.
But sometimes guilty people walk free because there's not enough evidence. Walk free means they leave court without punishment.
So frustrating, especially when you're watching a documentary and you're like, it's obviously him, but legally they couldn't prove it.
And the opposite happens too. Wrongful convictions. That's when an innocent person gets sent to prison for something they didn't do.
Those stories break my heart. People losing decades of their life for nothing. But sometimes new evidence comes out and they get exonerated. That means officially cleared.
There's actually an organization called the Innocence Project that works on these cases. They've helped free hundreds of wrongfully convicted people.
See, this is why true crime isn't just entertainment. Sometimes it actually helps. Documentaries bring attention to old cases, people call in tips, and crimes get solved.
That's true, but there's also criticism, right? Some people say true crime is exploitative.
Yeah, exploitative means taking advantage of someone for your own benefit. Some critics say true crime turns real tragedies into entertainment and doesn't respect the victims or their families.
And some content definitely sensationalizes the crimes. Sensationalize means presenting something in an exaggerated, dramatic way to make it more shocking.
Focusing on gory details, making the killer seem cool or interesting, that stuff feels wrong to me.
Same. I think the best true crime content treats the victims with respect and focuses on justice, not just drama.
Agreed. Okay, Leo, vocabulary recap time. Give me your favorites from today.
All right. Cold case, an unsolved crime where the investigation stopped. Crack a case to finally solve it. Alibi, proof you were somewhere else. Motive, the reason someone commits a crime.
Modus operandi, the criminal's method. Forensic, using science to investigate crimes. Armchair detective, regular people playing detective from home. Sleuth, another word for detective.
Morbid curiosity, fascination with dark subjects. Closure, the feeling of something being resolved. Verdict, the court's final decision, beyond a reasonable doubt. Evidence so strong there's no other explanation.
Walk free, leave court without punishment. Wrongful conviction. Innocent person found guilty. Exonerate, officially cleared of blame. Sensationalize, present something in an exaggerated, dramatic way.
That's a solid list.
Okay, listeners, question time. Are you into true crime? What's your favorite podcast or documentary? And why do you think we're all so fascinated by this stuff?
Tell us in the comments. We love hearing your thoughts.
And if you enjoyed this episode, hit subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and share it with someone who stays up way too late watching murder documentaries.
We've all been there.
Thanks for hanging out with us today. Keep learning, keep practicing, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.